What if Goku chose his family over training with Oob? The 28th World Tournament ended the way legends are supposed to, with dust settling in the arena and a new path waiting to be taken. When Goku met Oob, everyone believed history was repeating itself. He would leave. He would chase strength. He would disappear into the horizon once again. But as he stood there, smiling like always, something inside him shifted. Not a surge of power, not the thrill of a new rival. Something quieter, heavier. The echo of years lost. The faces of his family watching him from the stands. For the first time, the greatest warrior alive hesitated. And in that single moment the future of the Sun family changed forever. Chi-Chi's paw. This was it. Today was going to be the day. I'm going to terminate my marriage. Everything I had dreamed of had been exactly that, dreams. Goku never helps me with the housework, never spends the day with me just talking, and never does anything even slightly romantic. Instead he spends his time with his friends. In the morning he would, after eating yet another large breakfast I had made for him, would go to the Kame house or Bulma's and talk with them. Spar with them. Spend all day with them. Then when it was time for dinner he might come home. If he were hungry enough, and even then, he wouldn't come until over an hour after dinner had been ready. Then he would quickly eat, and declare that he was tired and wanted to go to bed. It hadn't been like this right away. For a while it actually had looked like my dreams were coming true. He would always thank me for the meals I made him, would kiss me all the time, what seemed like hundreds of times a day. It had lasted for 2 weeks. After those 2 short weeks of bliss is when he started leaving all the time. Now if I don't start kissing him it seems as though he would never touch me again. But enough was enough. I can't stand being in a one-sided marriage any longer. I'm getting the marriage annulled. And I'll be telling Goku tomorrow, I want to have just one more night with him before he leaves. Because after tonight, he'll be gone. He'll leave me and I'll never get to make love with him again. It would probably be the last time I'll ever be making love to anyone. I can't see myself ever being with another man. It's my fault really, I never should have forced Goku to marry me. I could force him to do that, but I could never force him to love me the way I love him. I'm not quite sure how Goku is going to react to all of this, but he'll most likely be relieved. Who would want to be married to someone they don't love? So I have to get out of this before it's too late. Before I completely ruin Goku's life. And before things get any more complicated, like making sure I don't get pregnant. I shuddered at the thought. It was hard enough having a husband that didn't really care. How could a child ever understand that his or her father would rather spend time with his friends and spar more than he wanted to with his child? I absolutely refuse to put a child through that. I know through experience how hard it is for a child to only have one parent, but it had to be undoubtedly worse when the parent that is one was gone by choice. I have to do this, I have to get out of this marriage. Never mind the fact that I've been in love with Goku since I was 12. Never mind the fact that the day I married him had been the happiest of my life. Never mind the fact that I would almost rather die than not have him in my life. Goku's paw. I smiled as I flew home. Dinner was probably all done. And after training all day I sure am hungry. Not only that, but I can't wait to see Chi-Chi. She'll probably yell at me for being late, but I don't mind. Sure, I get a bit scared when she yells at me, okay. I'm sometimes terrified when she yells at me, and she can even manage to hurt me when she gets mad enough. But I actually think it's kind of funny when she starts swinging that frying pan around. And would make everyone else run for cover. Yep, Chi-Chi is definitely special. Not only could she scare the living daylights out of even Piccolo, an evil guy that was hell-bent on killing me. But she was also very pretty. Not Bulma pretty, but that's the way I like it. Bulma's pretty is all kind of fake, with all that stuff all over her face, and that smelly perfume. I much prefer Chi-Chi's natural beauty to Bulma's fake beauty. Chi-Chi doesn't need any of that, and she's already perfect. Heck, she can even spar with me. And in my opinion, she's the world's best cook. I looked down, and was surprised to see that I had already reached the house. That was another thing, I'm always losing track of time whenever I start thinking about her. I'd been doing that today while sparring with Tien. And had paid dearly for it. It was definitely a good thing they'd had some sensu beans, or I would still have several broken bones and quite a bit of burnt skin. I quickly landed and walked inside. mentally preparing myself for the tongue lashing I will most likely receive. I can already smell fried chicken and rice. Yummy. I followed the smells to the table, where Chi-Chi was sitting. Seemingly in deep thought, I immediately sat down and started to eat. "Hi Chi-Chi," I said around the food he had in my mouth, "how was your day?" "My day was just fine Goku. How was your day?" "Oh, I had lots of fun. I bet I got loads stronger." I continued to eat, but Chi-Chi just sat there. Something didn't seem quite right. She seemed to be thinking about something really serious. "Chi-Chi, are you okay?" "Of course. In fact, I'm feeling rather." She gave me a look, as if to make sure that if I didn't understand what she meant, I definitely would once I looked at her. "Chi-Chi, not that I would want to complain. But I'm still eating, and I'm really, really hungry," I said in a somewhat whining voice. "I haven't eaten nearly all day." "You sure?" she said and got up, then came over to me. She grabbed my chin and brought her lips to mine. The kiss was full of passion, and she tastes so good. I groaned, knowing that the food was going to wait until morning. That's not fair," I told her when she pulled away slightly. She shrugged, and kissed me again, only this time she deepened the kiss gently and pulled me towards our bedroom. Chi-Chi's paw. Last night had been amazing. Goku had really wanted more than he had first let on. Only for the past 2 hours had he been sleeping, since we had spent the entire night loving each other. Or I had been loving him. I know he was able to tell that there was something different about last night, but he hadn't taken the time to ask. I lay there in his arms, content for now just to be near him. To feel his warmth and his light breathing coming down onto the top of my head. Never have I felt more relaxed and safe than when I am in his arms. The thought of not having that anymore once I tell Goku about my decision made me feel sick to my stomach. But there isn't anything I can do about it. Goku does probably like me, but he doesn't love me. I could suddenly feel Goku shifting beside me. "Morning Chi-Chi. Morning Goku." Even I can hear the hollowness in my voice. "Chi-Chi, is something wrong?" he asked, and when I tried to avoid looking at him, but he grabbed my chin and turned my face so we were looking each other in the eyes. "Why would you think that?" I asked him, trying to delay the inevitable. Why did he have to do this? I want to stay here, in his arms all day. Forget all about what I had been planning to do and just stay with him. He frowned. Something I have rarely seen him do. "Chi-Chi, please tell me what's wrong. I'm your husband, and you told me when we got married that husbands and wives don't keep secrets from each other, so tell me." "Fine, I'll tell you," I answered. I had wanted to wait just a little bit longer, enjoy being near him. But he wasn't giving me a choice. Sitting up I turned so all he could see was my back. "I want an annulment." "What's so bad about that? Just tell me what that is and I'll gladly go get it for you," he said naively. Sweet Goku, he doesn't even know what an annulment is. I hate this. But I'm just going to have to explain it to him. It was bad enough having to say it out loud, but having to explain it. "Goku, an annulment is when a married couple that has only been married for a few months decide that they don't want to be married anymore." "There, I said it. Chi-Chi, are you saying you don't want to be married to me anymore?" His voice seemed robbed of all emotion. All but what seemed to be panic. I must be imaging things. I closed my eyes tightly, trying to concentrate on what I'm doing. If I don't, I would probably just break down crying and tell him that I didn't mean it, that I really wanted to be with him forever. But I couldn't let that happen, I had to do this. Yes. Goku's paw. One word. With that one word I felt I could feel my entire world slipping away through my fingers. She doesn't want to be married to me. I tried to say something, I want to tell her that I'd do anything to change her mind. But I couldn't make any sound come out. My mouth didn't seem to be working, but I was sure that my legs were. I quickly recoiled from her, as if her skin were poisoned. Then I got off the bed and quickly got dressed. "Goku, what are you doing?" I didn't answer, I just couldn't. I looked at her, and then turned and ran. I ran as fast as I could. I felt an overwhelming need to get away from her, away from that person that had just managed to hurt me so badly. I continued this, running as fast as I could, for as long as I could, and after what must have been 2 hours, I collapsed. I tried to clear my mind, but couldn't. All I could think about was her. About how she doesn't love me anymore. She probably never had, and to marry me make me truly happy and then hurt me in such a cruel way, she must hate me. For why else would she do such a thing? And that thought came to me over and over, refusing to leave my mind. She hates me. Appy again. But unfortunately things are going to get worse before they get better. Now on to chapter 2. Chi-Chi's paw. After Goku ran out, I realized I was right. Goku had been so profoundly happy when he realized what getting an annulment would mean, he had run off. He couldn't wait to get away from me. The thought made me feel void of everything. This is the first time in my life it's ever hurt to be right about something. Goku is probably already at the Kame house, telling his friends about how he's finally free of me. I forced myself to stop thinking about that. Now isn't the time to torture myself by thinking about things like that. I need to get out of here. But first I need to figure out where I'll go. Dad would definitely be willing to let me move back home. But no, I couldn't just go back home to him. I'm not some little girl that can go to my father for help all the time. I'm a grown woman, and it's time I start taking care of myself. So, the first thing I'll have to do is find a job, which means I'll have to go where there are jobs. The city. And the nearest one is Orange Star City. Slowly, I got out of bed, trying to think of what I should bring with me. I'll definitely bring my clothes. And I'll have to take the car so I can get to the city sometime today. I'll probably have to use it as a house too. I quickly got dressed. I'll need to hurry to get there before nightfall. So I grabbed some trash bags and started stuffing my clothes into them. I grabbed my hairbrush, toothbrush, and toothpaste and put them in with my clothes. I have everything I could need. There's just one more thing. I went to the nightstand and opened the mirror. And grabbed the one thing I kept in there. I had planned to give it to Goku when I finished it as a present. The photo album I had started. Right now it only has pictures from our wedding, which filled up about a quarter of it. I had been planning to fill it up over the next few years, with pictures of anniversaries, birthdays, friends, and maybe even, in a few years, Avenue some pictures of a few kids in there. But now it was as full as it would ever get. I put it in the bag with the other things. I grabbed the bag and went out back to the car. Then I just got in. And started driving away from the one place I had thought I would never want to leave. Goku's paw. I opened my eyes slowly, not that I want to get up. I can't believe Chi-Chi doesn't want to be with me anymore. It just hurts. Knowing she hates me. It's a pain far worse than I have ever experienced. But this isn't at all like any of the other kinds of pain. Those I had been able to block from my mind until I could get them healed. This I can't ignore, or heal. Or could I? Maybe, just maybe Chi-Chi didn't mean it when she said she wanted the annulment. She might just be mad at me for always being late for dinner. And trying to teach me a lesson. So that means if I apologize, then she might stay married to me. I stood, and immediately concentrated on finding her energy. She isn't home. I started searching all over. And found it, miles and miles away from home, not far from the city. What was she doing all the way out there? So I started flying. It took nearly a half hour to fly there. It wouldn't normally take so long. But I haven't eaten in so long, I feel drained of my energy. But now I can see her, driving in the car that Bulma had given us as a wedding present. Chi-Chi, I yelled as I descended. And landed not far in front of the car, so she would have no choice but to stop. She immediately hit the brake, and the car came to a halting stop. Goku, she stared at me as soon as she turned the car off, and she didn't seem too happy to see me. Maybe this wasn't such a great idea. Where are you going, Chi-Chi? That doesn't matter, Goku. What I want to know is what you're doing here. I came to find you, Chi-Chi. She paused, and for a split second, it almost looked like she was going to smile, but stopped at the last second. Really, why, Goku? Why? How could she not know why? I wanted to know if you meant what you said earlier. If you actually want an annulment. It hurts just to say it, hurts a lot. But it'll be worth if she says she doesn't want it. She'd rather stay with me than leave me. Why wouldn't I mean it? I could feel my heart shatter at her words. She meant it. She actually wants this, to get away from me. To not have to see me anymore. Why did you ask me that, Goku? Because I don't want you to get away. Because I'd rather die than live without you. That's what I wanted to tell her. But I can't. I don't want to make her feel guilty about doing this. And then decide to stay with me only because she feels sorry for me. I can't do that to her, I have to let her go. I looked away, not really wanting to see her right now. No reason, Chi-Chi. Forget I said anything. I turned around, I just had to get away. Goodbye, Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's paw. I watched as he flew away, dumbfounded. I had almost thought he had come to stop me. To get me to stay with him, because he realized he loves me. Cammy, I'm such an idiot. I hit the gas, wanting now more than ever to get away and start a new life. I felt a familiar sting in my eyes. And did nothing to stop the tears from coming down my face. I can't believe I thought he had wanted me back. What was I thinking? I know he doesn't love me. But then, why had he come out here? I continued to drive, wondering, when it suddenly hit me. All he had wanted was to be sure he was free of me. Well, he wouldn't ever have to worry about that again. Angrily, I now wiped the tears that had been on my face. I can't keep letting him do this. I can't keep letting him break my heart. I looked ahead of me. I can see buildings in the distance. I'm nearly there. It had taken 6 hours of driving, but I had made it. I looked at my watch, it was nearly 7 at night. I won't be able to find a job tonight, that's for sure. So I parked the car by the side of the road. I'll go into the city tomorrow morning. Since I don't want to waste money paying for a room. But I wish I had thought to bring some food with me. I haven't eaten all day, and I did skip dinner last night. I leaned against my window and forced myself to clear my mind. It would be a lot harder to sleep tonight. Last night I'd had Goku beside me, wrapping his arm around me. But now, I'm all alone. Chi-Chi's paw. So Miss Sun, what kind of qualifications do you have that would make you qualified to watch my children? Mr. Llama asked coolly, leaning back in his expensive leather chair. I cook, clean, and I took care of some of the children in my village when it was called for. I answered calmly, not allowing any of her nervousness show. It had been nearly 3 weeks since that night I had spent in my car. Which I'll have to sell soon if I don't get a job. Yes, but what do you clean and cook? I know full well that cooking and cleaning often seems to mean my girls doing dishes and ordering. Take out for the past nannies I have hired. Anything and everything. I'll do windows and clean you oven. I'll cook even better, I've been told I'm the best. It was true. Goku had often complimented her cooking if nothing else. And what of your family relations? I don't want someone who's going to be constantly going to see her mother, or her boyfriend for that matter. No need to worry about that either, she paused. But willed herself to continue, I don't have a mother, and I'm going to be divorced as soon as the papers have been signed. And you needn't worry about me sulking over him, I ended the marriage. So there won't be any problem. He looked surprised, but then smiled. Well then, Miss Sun, you're hired. I don't have time to interview too many women, I'm going out of town soon, so I have to have someone. And you're definitely the most qualified. He stood and stuck out his hand. She also stood and shook his hand. She had done it, she finally had a job. It would work out well too. She would be alive in nanny, so she would have free room and board, and she would even get free food. Basically all she had to do is what she had been doing for Goku, and take care of the 2 girls. In fact, it would probably be easier than being married to Goku, since the girls weren't likely to eat as much as an army, or completely destroy their clothes that had been burned up by a key attack. Thank you very much, but it's not going to be Sun much longer. That's my husband's surname. Call me Miss Ox if you insist on being so formal. But I'd prefer if you and your girls called me Chi-Chi. All right, Chi-Chi, he said. Sitting down in his chair again, you go right on upstairs, your room is the first to the right. Go make yourself comfortable, the girls will be home from SCH. Will in a little more than 2 hours' time. I nodded at him, then turned and went up to her new room. I quickly put all her things away and then observed where I'll be living for I have no idea how long. The room was huge, more than half the size of my and Goku's entire house. No, it was only Goku's house now. I mentally smacked myself for thinking of Goku yet again. I needed to stop, all it did do is depress me. And it doesn't me any good to miss someone that was probably ecstatic about my departure. I looked at the room again, noticing the floral theme. Everything, the walls, the furniture, the mirrors. All was covered with a red rose print. The room really was quite beautiful. There was no point in just standing there, so I uncapsulized my things and started putting everything away. It didn't take long considering how few things I actually have, so I decided to get downstairs. It was nearing 4, so I stayed looking through the cabinets and the refrigerator to find something to make for dinner. I soon found a turkey and some veggies. Now, how much would 2 adults and 2 children eat? Certainly not as much as I had recently gotten used to fixing, but if there are any leftovers, I can always have them for lunch tomorrow. So I got out a pot, put the turkey in, then some chopped up carrots, potatoes, and onions before adding a blend of spices. I popped it in the oven, then got out 4 sugars, eggs and some cherries to make a pie. I've made so many for Goku I hardly have to think when I do, as if my hands just know what to do. I smiled as I thought of the first time I gave Goku a pie. He's never had one before, and when he took that first bite his face had lightened up and he had stuffed the whole thing in his mouth and asked for more. Unfortunately they had been out of sugar, so I hadn't been able to make more. That wouldn't be a problem at this house, it was so well stocked, and I'm sure nobody here will eat like Goku. I sighed. It seems that no matter what I do I won't be able to stop thinking of Goku. But that couldn't be too bad, as long as I remember the good times. I smiled as I put the pie crust into the rest of the pie and put it in the second oven. That was just below the one with the turkey. I can just imagine Goku sitting next to me after dinner. I smiled even more as started cleaning, all the while. It hardly seemed like she was working at all. "Who are you?" asked small voice. Surprised by the sudden appearance, I looked down only to see 2 young girls looking up at me curiously. "My name is Chi-Chi, and I'm the new nanny." "Oh," the girls said, "you're the new lady." "Well, my name is Azul. And this is my sister Roja." I smiled, the names fit the young girls well with their blue and red hair. It would be easy to remember who was who. "It's nice to meet the 2 of you. I hope you're both hungry, I have dinner in the oven." "Whatever," Roja said in a cool tone, "we have to go do our homework now." "Come on Azul." The other girl nodded and they turned to leave. Now that was strange, what was going on with those 2 to make them act like that? From what Mr. Llama had said of his girls they were supposed to be quiet, polite girls. Oh well, I suppose it will take some time to adjust to having me here. I'll just have to start trying to get to know them this weekend. Verde Llama's paw. I smirked as I watched the new nanny leaving the room. She is a rather attractive young, vulnerable woman going through a divorce. What could possibly go wrong? She probably would be on the rebound for the next few months at least. Then, once she got over the guy and I'm finished with her, I'll just have her leave. Already I can imagine what it is going to be like to take her. I can't wait. Not only was she beautiful, but she would be easy. Far easier than the harpy I made the mistake of hiring last time. By the time I managed to seduce that wench, I had nearly lost interest. Not only that, but she had been pathetic in bed. I've always found that women just getting out serious relationships often go running into the arms of other men, if only to forget the previous man. And that had only been with women who had been dating. I have simply marvelous chances with this woman, who had actually gotten married and was now trying to forget the loser. A few hours later, after daydreaming of my soon-to-be mistress, I could smell dinner cooking. She hadn't been kidding, she could cook. I stood up and walked out into the kitchen, where I found Chi-Chi bending over, giving me a marvelous view. "That smells delicious," I said slowly. I knew I had surprised her since she seemed to jump as she spun around. "Oh, it's you sir," she said slowly. "Call me Verde." "All right, Verde. Well, dinner is almost ready. You should go wash up. And I would really appreciate you telling the girls it's time for dinner." She was really taking this job seriously. Oh well, she was young. She must not realize what working here would eventually lead to. Good. That would only make things more interesting. "No problem. I'll be right back," I said saucily, then slowly backed out of the room to go get the girls. I really scored this time. This girl can cook. The kitchen is already cleaner than before, will be able to deal with the girls, and she's gorgeous. I may end up having to keep her around longer than some of the others. So there you go. I hope you all enjoyed that. Any of you that know Spanish, you recognized some in this chapter. For the rest of you, Krillin's paw. I sighed as I flew through the clouds, headed toward Goku's house. It was just so weird. Goku had told him 2 weeks ago when he'd been going home that he would be back the next day to train. When Goku hadn't shown up, Krillin had understood that there were toin times that a husband and wife needed to be together. But now it just didn't make sense. Why would Goku just disappear for 6 weeks without letting anyone know he wouldn't be coming by? It just didn't make sense. So I'm going over to check things out. What I don't get was why Goku hadn't trained at all in the past few weeks. I haven't felt his energy above 50 once. Goku had told me when we first started training again after he got married how he wanted to finally beat Piccolo, so he wouldn't have to worry about the evil Demon King suddenly attacking when he wasn't ready. Apparently, being married had gotten Goku to start thinking ahead. It was strange, it was just so un-Goku. But then again, Goku hadn't been the same since his marriage to Chi-Chi. I still remember the first I saw him after the guy had spent some quality time with his wife. Goku had been blatantly happy, the guy couldn't stop smiling. And when training, Goku had been more serious than ever, Ned to rid the earth of the person that could somehow hurt Goku, but attacking his wife and taking her away from him. Yeah, seeing Goku like that had been both weird, and, in a way, nice. It was good to know my old friend is so happy with Chi-Chi, even though the poor guy had no idea what he was getting into when he had married the girl. I slowly descended to the ground just in front of Goku's house. Then I knocked on the door. And waited, and waited. I tried checking Kiss inside the house, and was surprised to sense only Goku's key. In fact, I couldn't sense Chi-Chi anywhere around. I was being stupid. She had probably gone shopping. They must go through a lot of food. And maybe Goku was sleeping, that would explain why the door hadn't been answered. When that guy slept, he really slept. It would take a lot more than a knock on the door to do the job. So I walked in. The door was unlocked. Why would these guys need to lock it anyway? Not only were they two of the strongest people in the world, but they lived in the middle of nowhere. They didn't exactly have much to worry about when it came to thieves. But when I did walk in, I was absolutely in shock. There was Goku, sitting on the couch, awake. Goku. He didn't answer. I looked around the small house, and saw it was in ruin. There were all kinds of things, strewn about on the floor. Clothes, bits of food, trash, and broken glass. Goku. What happened here? Goku, who had been staring straight ahead, unmoving, turned his head and looked directly at me. She left. What? Goku, what are you talking about? I didn't get it. Was he talking about Chi-Chi? And what did he mean, left? Goku let out a hollow laugh, and I felt scared. Goku never sounded like that. So empty. I was stupid to think she actually wanted me in the first place. I guess I've learned my lesson, Krillin. I stared at his confused and walked toward him and the smell of alcohol hit me like a freight train. Goku had been drinking. But he hated that stuff. Said it tasted funny. Why would he reek with the smell of it? Goku, have you been drinking? He nodded slowly. She left the champagne that she would have with dinner sometimes. There were 3 bottles. He paused and held up an empty champagne bottle. This was the last of it. Then Goku tossed the bottle, and it shattered against the wall. Who's she? Are you talking about Chi-Chi? And why did you drink all of that? You said you hate the stuff. Goku laughed again, in that same hollow tone. Who else would I be talking about? Goku leaned back against the couch and closed his eyes. And I drank it because it helps. It helps get rid of the pain, and it helps me sleep. I couldn't sleep until I had my first half a bottle. The only drawback is that when I wake up I always have to puke. But it's worth it. I stared at him in shock. Goku, what's happened to you? Did something happen to Chi-Chi? I already told you, she left. What do you mean she left? I asked. Where did she go? Goku shrugged. How should I know? The city, I guess. She was almost there the last time I saw her. Goku, I don't get it. What happened? The guy was talking in circles. What was he trying to say? She's getting an annulment, Krillin. She left me nearly 2 weeks ago. Annulment. But this didn't sense she had been madly in love Goku the last time I saw them together. What was going on? How could this have happened? But Goku, I don't get it. Why would she leave you? It's not a matter of why she left me. It's a matter of why she married me in the first place. Goku said in a monotone voice. What? Goku, that doesn't make any sense. Krillin, who marries someone, and leaves them not 4 months later. It's only obvious. This is what she's been planning since the beginning. It was easy. Make me happy with her, then leave and make me miserable. Goku lay down, slowly, and groaned. It seemed Goku hadn't left that couch recently. Are you sure, Goku? I mean, Chi-Chi didn't seem like someone that would do something like that. No, Goku agreed, she didn't. But she did, and I don't want to talk about it, Krillin. So just leave. I hesitated. Leaving Goku here, like this, didn't seem like a good idea. But, if I tried to do anything else, who knows what he'd do. He's not exactly acting like himself, and I don't want to try messing with a drunken Goku. I'll come back, tomorrow. And see if I can talk some sense into the guy. Hopefully he'll have sobered up a bit. Okay, Goku, I'll go. But I'll see you soon. Chi-Chi's paw. I just don't get it, the girls are so distant from me. I understand I haven't been here long, but I still wouldn't think that they would look at me so disgustedly. And their father, he was a different story. Verde seemed to love my being here. And the fact that his children hadn't seemed to affect him at all. In fact, the man had been acting strangely. Almost flirtatious. But I don't get it, he's at least 10 years my senior. And he knows I'm going through a divorce. But maybe I'm wrong. It's not as if I've been flirted with, ever. So how would I know? He was probably just being friendly. Besides, why would he want me? My own husband hadn't wanted me, why would someone else? I stood in the laundry room, folding Verdi's clothes, thinking over the things that have happened over the past 4 weeks, since I got my job. Nothing exciting had happened. It was basically the same routine every day, except for the weekends. During the week I just clean while everyone is gone, school and work. Once they get home, the girls either do homework, or watch television. Verde always brings work home with him. But on the weekend, Verde takes us out. All of us, though I insist I don't belong at family outings, he insisted I go. So I would. We would go to the park, out to ice cream, we even went to Fun World. The strange thing is, Verde didn't spend any time with the girls during any of these outings. He always sent them away to go play and go on rides, and the two of us would talk. At first we talked about me, he kept asking me questions about myself. And he now knows a lot about me. He knows that I'm the Ox Princess. And I placed second in the World Martial Arts Tournament. I think it's safe to say he was both shocked and amazed by that little development. I even ended up telling him about Goku, how I met him, and why I left. He had been sympathetic, and had tried to comfort me when I started crying. Then we had started talking about him. It took him a while to open up, but he did when we came back from Fun World. It turned out that his wife had died a few years ago, in plane crash, when she had been leaving with her lover. The girls had taken it hard, but still didn't know why their mother had been on that plane. Verde had told them she'd been going to visit their grandmother. Verde had been emotionally devastated, and had buried himself in his work. He told me he started to recover last year, when he realized how his behavior had been hurting his girls. It had been my turn to comfort him, and I held him for what must have been at least an hour. I even had to help him upstairs and into his bed. I finished the clothes and carried them upstairs, and put them away. There wasn't much else for me to do. Despite there being a single man and 2 little girls here, there wasn't too much to clean during the day. Other than what has happened between Verde and I, not much has happened. Luckily the nightmares I had when I first came here have mostly subsided. Even the ones of the two of us being together. And then him actually yelling at me how little he wanted to remain with me, and he left. Actually, if anything, the only thing that's happened with me is tiredness. I don't get it. With all of my marital arts strengthening and conditioning, I always had an abundant amount of energy. But lately it's taken a lot more energy to get through the day, and I just don't understand it. I yawned as I started walking back downstairs. There I go again. Arg. This is getting really annoying, I hate being this tired. Maybe I'm getting the flu. I heard it was going around. I'll just have to get a nap once I finish the laundry. Verdi's paw. I frowned. I'd been doing it again. Thinking about her. She was no longer just some whore I wanted to screw, but I had somehow started to care. I had been using my usual tactics. Get to know her, make her think I cared. But it had backfired. She actually started asking me about my life. I told her about Rizata, about how he left me to be with another man and ended up dead because of it. She stayed with me as I turned to putty, and she actually managed to make me feel better. I haven't been able to stop thinking about her since. I now enjoy the time we spend together. Even when all we do is the dishes together. I just really like her. I don't know why, but I'm starting to feel the same way about her as I did about Rizata. Only, I think my feelings are beginning to run deeper for Chi-Chi at this point than I did about Rizata. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how I let this happen. How could I be falling in love? I never thought this kind of thing could ever happen to me again, but it has. Now I just have to figure out how to tell Chi-Chi, and how to get her to accept me. She still cares a lot about that Goku guy. How am I going to get her over him and convince her to be with me? I don't know how I'm going to get her over him. She really did seem to love him. She was reduced to tears just by telling me about him. How am I going to get her to forget about him, and start thinking about me? I laid my head in my hands, and started racking my brains out trying to figure out how I could begin to win the heart of the woman I have accidentally fallen in love with. Goku's paw. I now sat on the floor, near the bathroom so I wouldn't have far to go no matter what I needed to do. Krillin was here again, trying to get me to move on. It wasn't working. Not that I don't appreciate the effort, but it isn't doing any good. Nothing ever will. It's been 2 months since he first found me here, alone and drunk. In that time he's tried to get me to get out and train again. I just can't get myself to do much of anything. Even when Krillin will make me something to eat, I never finish. The house was clean, courtesy of Krillin. Not that I don't appreciate what Krillin's been doing for me, I just wish he'd leave me alone. I just want to be alone. He will leave, sometimes. But he comes back to at least feed me something. He seemed to be really scared when he first started coming on a regular basis and found out I hadn't eaten for a week. He's here now, doing dishes in the kitchen. Krillin's been great. There's not a doubt in my mind he would keep doing this for as long as I'd need, but he shouldn't have to. I can't let him spend his time taking care of me as if I was a child. Not that I'd have really needed someone as a child either. But the guy has his own life, he shouldn't be spending his time here. I've tried telling him, but he just asked what kind of friend he'd be if he let me stay here in the state I'm in, so I'm going to have to at least act like I'm okay, at least for a while. Krillin hasn't let me have any more champagne, so it's been hard to sleep. Especially with the nightmares. The nightmares have been getting worse. Last night I awoke in a cold sweat, after dreaming about Chi-Chi physically hurting me, which didn't make any sense, but it had felt so real. At least Krillin didn't know about my nightmares, he'd really flip. Not only is the guy getting overprotective toward me, but he's even threatened to tell the rest of the guys about what's happened when I won't eat. The last thing I need is for everyone to see me like this, and once they did, who knows how bad they'd be. Especially Bulma, she'd probably try to find Chi-Chi and yell at her. I could almost laugh at the thought, but not quite. I was never really too close to smiling, not when I know that Chi-Chi hates me. Chi-Chi's paw. Would you repeat that? I asked, trembling. The tiredness had continued up to the point that I nearly passed out while doing dishes the other day, and Verde had insisted I see a doctor. I've been tired for about 3 months now, and when I told him that, he decided to bring me here himself. The doctor was Verde's, so he was supposed to be very good, and he was quite expensive, I'm sure. I take it this wasn't a planned pregnancy, drive. Honorinhado said in a sighing voice. How could I be pregnant? I know how, but why? Why did this have to happen after I left him? No, it wasn't. I'm actually divorcing the only man that could be the father. I stared blankly ahead of me. What was I going to do? This isn't something I'm ready to deal with. You don't appear to be very happy with development. Do you wish to discuss your options? There's always adoption. Or the pregnancy could be terminated. The doctor said slowly, looking at some papers. There was no way I could terminate this baby, and I'm sure I couldn't give it up. If anything, it was a little bit of Goku I could keep with me and love and cherish. Neither option will be necessary. I told him in a forced calm. But could you tell me how far along I am? I don't know yet. I can't tell that from a urine sample. Just lay back and I can check. The doctor said, setting down his papers. I did as I was told, and laid back on the hospital examining table. He came beside me, and put his hands on my stomach and pressed lightly a few times in a few different places. As he did, I continued going over what I would have to do next in my head. There was no getting around the fact that I would have to tell Goku. I couldn't keep him from his child, no matter what. I just couldn't do that to either of them. I can remember one of the few talks I had with Goku in those first few weeks, about children. Once I had explained how to have them, he had decided to get started on trying right away. Once we had stopped and started talking again, he told me how much he would love to have some kids to train and be happy with. I know Goku would never forgive me if I kept him from his child. And keeping them apart would be a loss for our child as well. I know Goku will make a wonderful father. It seems like you're about 4 months along. Now, have you had any kind of symptoms other than tiredness? Dr. Honorinhato asked. No, not that I can recall. How could I not have noticed? I asked myself, now that I knew. I realize I hadn't had my period in what seems an eternity. But with everything that's happened, I just lost track of things. It had happened before Mrs. Sun. So, me women even go into labor before ever realizing they were pregnant. The doctor said, you should schedule an appointment so we can check on you, and get a sonogram. You'll need to come in at least once a month so we can know how things are going. I nodded as I got up. He walked out so I could change. Once I did, I walked out to the waiting room, where Verde sat reading a business magazine. ONC. He noticed I had come out. He stood and walked over to me. What did he say? Verde asked. I shook my head. I don't think I can talk about this yet. Verde seemed to pale slightly. What's wrong? Nothing. In a manner of speaking. I'll tell you later. I just don't think I can actually say it right now. I answered him as I started for the door. He seemed to want to protest, but nodded as he followed me. I don't know what I'm going to do when, but I do know I'm going to have to tell Goku. I just don't know how. Verde's paw. 2 weeks after the doctor's appointment, Chi-Chi managed to tell me the news, that she's pregnant. It's now been 3 weeks since she told me, and I'm believing she's pregnant more and more. She's suddenly started eating much more than before, and it seems because of that she's regained much of her energy. She's even started to show, and I get a knot in my throat when I think of how hard things are going to be now that she's carrying her husband's child. It's already hard, because it's so hard for her. 1 minute she'll seem happy and content, and the next stressed, worried about what she's going to do. She told me that she's definitely going to tell Goku. But she doesn't know how or when, though she wants it to be before she has the kid. I can't believe this happened. Why did she have to be pregnant? This was going to make her so much harder to get. Now she had her child to consider, and she might decide she doesn't want me as a second father. What am I going to do if she rejects me? Even Roha and Azul have warmed up to her. I think they realize not much is going to happen since Chi-Chi is having a baby. They've started to like her, look forward to spending time with her, and it makes me want to be with her all the more. I can't belie. It's already been a month since I found out I was pregnant, and I still haven't told Goku. Horrible, I know, but I just haven't been able to make myself go back to that house, which Goku may have been abandoned by now since he had always been comfortable just sleeping outside. How can I go back there, to the place that all of my childhood dreams had shattered? Yet, I know I have to, and soon. My work for Verde and the girls has been becoming far too difficult, and I'm sure that Verde doesn't need to have a baby here, crying during all hours of the night. I'm going to need Goku's help, whether I want to see him or not. Ever since I found out, I've spent just about all my free time thinking of my baby, how my baby is going to change my life, and Goku's. Goku is going to be involved with this child if I have anything to say about it. This baby deserves 2 parents. It isn't the baby's fault its mother had been stupid enough to marry someone that didn't love her. I don't know how, I know that I'm going to have a little boy. It's just this feeling I have. I can see him already, his father's good looks, but with brains to back them up. He'll be smart, I'll make sure of that. When I had been looking for a job, I had been restricted by my education. That is not something that I am going to let happen to my son. I can't believe this. I don't know how I'm going to tell Goku about his baby. Yet I'm already planning the kid's future. I guess that's just the way I am. I've always been better at dreaming of the future than dealing with the present. But that's just me. I know I don't have worry about the distant future as much. I have time to make it what I want it to be. I sighed as I placed my hand on my stomach and rubbed gently. I need to tell Goku, soon. I can't just stay here. So I'm going to have to try to get Goku to help me. I didn't like the idea of going to him for help, but I don't have much of a choice. Hello Chi-Chi, Verde said walking in. Hi Verde, she answered and smiled at him. Verde has been so supportive of me since I told him about this. He's even done some of the housework when I was tired or upset. He's been really great. I don't know how I'm ever going to thank him. Chi-Chi, would you come with me? There's something I want to talk about with you. I thought we'd talk about it over some food. How do you feel about Los Mariachis? Sounds great, I answered happily. I haven't eaten out in a while. It would be nice to have a change of scenery. Goku's paw. I finally did it. I finally got Krillin to get out of my hair. He's been gone for the past week. And I've started to actually get on with my life. I still don't eat as much as I should, and I've started sleeping outside, near the trees, but I have gotten better. I basically try to live as I did before the tournament, just eat, sleep, and train. Not worrying about anything else. Life is so simple when you live like that. You always know what you're in for, no surprises. But I realize I'll never truly move on until Chi-Chi and I have gotten those papers signed. Krillin had explained to me what it takes to get an annulment, and there are some papers Chi-Chi and I have to sign for it to be official. It hurts to just think about it, but it is something I have to do, so that's what I have planned for today. Find Chi-Chi, and sign those papers. I finished my modest helping of fish and stood up. If I'm going to do this, I want to get it over with. So I started to fly, searching for her key. Chi-Chi was normally easy to find. Other than Roshi, Krillin, Tien and Chiitsu. She's one of the strongest people on Earth. But for some reason I can't sense her. So I decided to head toward that city she had been so close to the last time I saw her. Then I could feel her. She seemed to have her ki lower than she normally would. And it felt different, as if she has two kiss. But how was that possible? I flew toward her ki, and landed behind a wall. She was sitting with some guy, talking with him. She was smiling. Kami, she looked so beautiful when she smiled. No, I had to stop, I came here for a reason. Her friend would just have to. I froze. Chi-Chi had just scooted out of her seat, giving me a clear view, to see her swelling stomach that she was rubbing affectionately. Wasn't that what was supposed to happen when a woman was going to have a baby? Is that my baby? I stood there, and continued to watch, so I could wait until she wasn't with that guy anymore. I need to talk to Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's paw. What is it you wanted to talk about, Verde? I asked, sitting comfortably. He smiled at me, and I smiled back. He was behaving strangely. Maybe he realized he doesn't want a lazy pregnant woman to be slacking off on the job. Yeah, that's probably it. He seems nervous. He probably doesn't really want to get rid of me. Chi-Chi, I know things are hard for you with the baby. And I've been having these feelings. I want to help you, be with you. If you'll let me, I want to love you. I sat there frozen. What was going on? Verde was definitely being strange. He wants to love me. This doesn't make sense. My confusion must have shown on my face, because he decided to continue. I cared for you before I found out, and I'm telling you now because I think we should be together before the baby gets here. Your child is going to need a father, a real father. Not some fighter that leaves at the drop of a hat. Then, before I could react, he leaned toward me, his hand cupping my face gently, and he kissed me. It was a gentle, caring kiss, yet full of emotion at the same time. I panicked. Why was this happening? Why did this happen after I had fallen for Goku? It's fitting, isn't it? I find a man that cares for me and wants to be with me, despite the fact that I'm carrying another man's child, and I'm still in love with Goku. Goku, the sweet naive guy that doesn't want me. Wait, is he still kissing me? And am I kissing him back? My hands went to his chest, and I pushed him away. Shaking my head. Verde, no. His face fell. I couldn't help but feel sorry for him, but I can't do this. I'm sorry, but I can't. I still love Goku, even if he doesn't feel the same way. I don't care if I never get to be with another man, I wouldn't feel right about it. And you don't deserve another woman that wants someone else. You need someone that returns your feelings. And that isn't going to be me. Verde looked down. You love him that much? I nodded sadly. I wished I didn't. I want to be happy, not spend my life wanting someone I can't have. All right, I understand, I suppose. What are you planning to do? I mean, considering the baby and all. Verde asked. I'm not sure. I need to talk to Goku about it. I'll probably end up with my dad for a while. Goku and I will probably end up taking turns with the baby. I'm just going to have to play by ear, I guess. Verde nodded. Come on, let's go home. Goku's paw. I had continued to watch, until he had kissed her. I had expected her to end the kiss, but she didn't. She had let it keep going, and even kissed him back. I can't describe the feeling it gave me, to see her kissing that other man. When I saw that, I had flown away as quickly as I possibly could. It was one thing for her to leave me, but how could she leave me for that other guy? How could she? And that baby, was it his? Was it their baby? I wiped my wet face as I flew. Then I changed direction. I couldn't go back home right now, not to the place that I had thought I would spend my life with her. Instead, I started to look for a place with that champagne stuff. I don't want to think or feel anything, and that stuff normally helps. It didn't take long, I could smell some kind of alcohol from a great distance, and I landed at the place soon enough. But I knew I would need money. How to get it? I stood there by the door, and then some woman walked up to me. Why hello there hun, looking to get a drink. I looked at her, and did a double take. She definitely wasn't anything like Chi-Chi. With short blonde hair, green eyes, and an outfit with a really high skirt and a really low shirt, if you could call it that. Well yeah, but I don't have any money. I answered. I can fix that, and in exchange all you have to do is spend some time with me. She pushed her chest up as she said that. That sure is nice of you. I said, surprised. Why was she being so nice? Oh, it's nothing, she said as she grabbed my arm and led me into the building. It was dark, full of people, and smelled. But it was just what I needed. She took me to the stools and sat down with me. What'll it be? The guy behind the counter asked as he cleaned a glass. Oh, what should I get? I wanted something stronger than that other stuff. New at this, huh? The girl asked. When I nodded, she smiled and turned her head to the bartender. 2 tequilas, no salt. The bartender turned and stated to get the drinks ready. So, tell me about yourself. Well, my name is Goku. I'm a fighter, and my wife recently left me for this other guy. That's why I came here for a drink. Oh, poor baby, she said, her hand going to my thigh and rubbing it. The drinks were set down in front of us, and I grabbed it, downing it immediately. I set the glass down and sighed. So what's your name? Well, my name is Banka. She said smiling, then sipped her drink. Want another? I nodded, and she raised a finger at the guy behind the bar. He nodded and started getting another drink ready. My head was already starting to feel lighter, more relaxed. I looked at Candy, who handed something to the bartender and whispered something. She must be paying him for the drinks. I soon had my second drink, and grabbed it. So, there a NY thing about yourself you want to tell me? I asked, and then raised the drink to my mouth, and drank it, all of it. No, not really, she said, lowering her voice. My head was swimming, maybe I shouldn't have had it so fast. Well, thanks for the drinks, but I should go, I said, standing up. She stood too. I'll walk you. She wrapped an arm around me. I was blinking rapidly, and my hand went to my head. That must be some pretty powerful stuff. The room seemed to be spinning. No, I have a long way to go to get home. It's not exactly a place you'd want to walk to. Then we can go to my place, she said. Since you don't seem to be feeling well, you shouldn't travel too far. All right, I really don't feel that great. Then I just let her lead me away. Blanca's paw, what luck to find a simply sexy man, broke outside of a bar. I could see his lean figure from all the way down the street. This guy knew how to stay in shape. So I offered to get him a couple of drinks, he'll be easy enough to play with. Not only is he a hunk, but he's just broken up with some broad. A drunken, sad man is always eager for a quick lay. Especially when he gets something slipped into his drink. So, Verde made his move. And Blanca has set her sights on Goku. I know people may yell at me for doing this, but it is just something that had to happen. Lady Sakura-chan, sometimes not even I know what the heck is going on inside my head. I write this story in my mom's room, where someone is constantly watching TV, so my attention is constantly being averted away from my writing, and then, all of a sudden, I get an idea. I hadn't known I was going to have Blanca meet Goku at a bar until it happened. I'm also glad to hear that this version is more enjoyable than the last. Last time I was highly inexperienced. So I am glad to know my skills as a writer are advancing. Amanda, glad you found this, and yes, I know Blanca was rather forward. She is sure Goku knows the score. Too bad for her. Goku is the most naive person on the face of the earth and had no idea what she intended to happen. Puppyascute. Yes, things seem rather grim for Goku and Chi-Chi, but would I really make them stay this way? Laughs evilly. You'll just have to wait and see. E-chan, I don't think I want to repeat any of the words that you used. I already talked to you anyway, and if anybody wants to know of the things you wrote of, they'll have to go find it. Black Fire Dragon K. No, your prediction is not to be, that would be too Hollywood, you know what I mean. Nisha. This FIC is kinda going along with the series in a manner of speaking. So Goku and Chi-Chi are about 18 years old. At least, I think that's how old they're supposed to be. I never got to see all of Dragon Ball yet, so I'm not completely sure. Lady Athena 12. Yeah. Bulma and Goku pairings are odd. And in reference to everything else, you're just gonna have to wait like everybody else. Jessica C. Yes, I did mention you before and I'm doing it again. And I'm glad to know somebody really does appreciate it, since I've now spent a half hour doing it this time. I would have done it like this time as well, but I didn't have time. Why mom was taking me and my siblings out to see radio. And Blanca put in some kinda of drug. I'm a good girl that doesn't know much of that kind of thing, so I don't know what it should be called exactly. Lilianji girl, I can't see him using the Kamehameha on her. Gip K. So, you hate Blanca, and feel sorry for Verde. I don't know what else to say to you since that was basically all you put. Carla Fox, I thank you for your kind words. Blanca is just a slut from off the street attracted to Goku's hot bod. His hair is weird, but his body drools. Gohan's Ona. Woohoo, you reviewed this time. But where did you get the idea of me having dyslexia? I don't even know what that is. And I hope you will write again soon. Anyone who actually reads any that isn't theirs, go read Gohan's Ona's fics, that has some really good ones. Passing girl. I guess this is the stake. A lot of reviews, and I appreciate every one of them. I want to once again remind everyone that Candy is now called Blanca. Now, on to chapter 7. Goku's paw. Blanca and I waked for what must have been an hour before we came up to a small house. All around there was writing on walls, kids walking the streets, and a very weird smell. Luckily a lot of that weird feeling I had gotten had worn off. Blanca, I'm really feeling a lot better now, I think I should just go home. And miss all the fun? Blanca asked, using a low tone of voice. I kinda recognized it. It was the kinda of voice Chi-Chi had used sometimes, when she would be hinting that she wanted to love each other again. What fun. I was getting suspicious, and more observant. Her clothes were something would never consider wearing, the outfit showed a lot her breasts, and in the back you could see the bottom of the girl's butt. She turned her key in her lock and pushed the door open. Come now Goku, you know what I mean. Fun. A lot of fun. Blanca then grabbed my shirt and surprised me by pulling me inside. I really think I need to go, I said more firmly. She was starting to get annoying in a way, I don't like the way she's acting. Come with me, and I'll give you the time of your life. Her hand then went to my pants, in between my legs, and cupped my manhood. I jumped in response, backward. True, it has been a long time for me, since I was last together with Chi-Chi, nearly a half a year now. How I long to be with her, be with Chi-Chi once again. But this isn't Chi-Chi. No Blanca, I'm going home. What, you don't want to get kinky? No. I turned and left her house, then flew away, toward home. I can't believe that she just wanted to take me to her house to sleep with me. People are strange. I just don't know what I'm going to do, now that I know Chi-Chi loves another. My naivete let me believe it was me she loved. And now that I know of the truth, of her lies, of her lasting love, it doesn't seem that I have much else to live for. I still have fighting, but it doesn't seem enough anymore. I will have to defeat Piccolo before I let myself go. If I don't, then nobody will be able to stop him from hurting others. So I will train, and I will fight until I can rid the world of what threat there is. After that, I'm not sure really, though I doubt I'll do much to make sure I stay well. I won't drink anymore, that has proved to lead me into unwanted situations. Other than the drinking, I will most likely go back into the state I had been in before Krillin had come over. I'll just sit there, in the place that I had once thought I would live my life contentedly with my wife. Now, I will live my life there alone and miserable. Chi-Chi's paw. Once Verde and I got back to the house, there was an awkwardness between us. We could both feel it, but neither of us would point it out. I had been so shocked by his proclamation of love that I couldn't think of anything to say. I am touched, he cares enough to help raise another man's son. I know that there aren't many men out there like that. Verde has been wonderful to me. But I simply couldn't accept his offer. As much as hate the idea of being alone all my life, save for my child. As much as I already love my child, I still want a man to love, to share my life with. Chi-Chi. I think I'm going to go lay down for a while. Verde said, heading up the stairs. I nodded at him. Is there a certain time you would like to get up? No, don't bother getting me up. I can set my alarm so I'll be up by dinner time. Verde said, continuing to go upstairs without turning to look at her again. I can tell he's somewhat hurt. But he'll get over me, it can't be too hard to do. It's not as if I had much to offer him in the first place. I still find it hard to believe any man would want to have me, let alone when I am pregnant. Not only that, but Verde is a rich businessman that works for Capsule. He could have just about any woman, I'm sure. It was probably because of my convenience. I already live here, his girls have come to like me, and he knows how much I care about his family now. His girls are wonderful, smart little girls. Verde is a handsome, polite man. I would do well with this life, I could probably be somewhat content even. But never would I be truly happy. I have to do what's best for my baby, and that is telling Goku about him so they can know each other. Or is that the best thing? Goku tired of me in a matter of months, what would he do when the baby came? Sure, he had said he wanted a child, but he had also had the gall to say he was happy with me, and then left for 3 days straight. What kind of father would he be? Goku didn't seem like a man that would have the patience to deal with a baby, he wouldn't have a clue as to handle things. Not only that, but he would most likely get bored, and decide to go train instead. Would he be at all interested in his son? Maybe he would, once he considered the child old enough to train. Then both of them would be gone training. So is it wise to tell Goku? I don't know anymore, I'm so confused. I want what is best for my baby, but I don't know what that is. I just want to know what I have to do to make my baby happy in life. Does that mean Goku, or Verde? Verde's paw. I can't believe I lost her. She still loves that fool that didn't keep her. She loves him, and not me. I knew that my chances were slim, but to actually be rejected by the first woman I have come to care about in so long is maddening. I have finally gotten over Rosada, but now what will it take for me to overcome my misery after losing Chi-Chi? Both loved other men, so was I destined to lead women to their true desires. Would Chi-Chi stay with Goku so her child would have a father? I have far too many questions, it seems. I can't come up with an answer to a single one of them either. It had felt so good to kiss her. I had been overjoyed when she responded to my kiss instead of ending it. It didn't last long, however, did it? She pushed me away after only a few heavenly minutes, and demolished my newfound happiness with a mere speech. I lay on my bed, spread out comfortably. I can easily imagine Chi-Chi coming in here, beautiful and completely uncovered by clothing. I can imagine her soft voice telling me it is I she wants, and not that other fool. I can imagine kissing her and loving her. But that is all I will ever get to do. Imagine, she does not want to kiss me, let alone love me. And I'm just going to have to find a way to accept that. There was a sudden loud banging noise on my door. Chi-Chi. Verde, please, help me. It hurts so much. I sprang up and went to my door. When I opened it I found Chi-Chi on the floor, clutching her stomach. What happened? I asked, kneeling beside her. I'm bleeding Verde, I think my baby is in trouble. Poor Chi-Chi, and what is to happen to Gohan-chan? I should explain. Saiyan babies require more energy from their mother than human babies do, so having one is extremely difficult. Not only that, but with all the saint rest that Chi-Chi has had due to her separation from Goku, it has put a strain on the baby. So she had some bleeding, which could mean a miscarriage. Chi-Chi's paw. I can't believe I had been so stupid. The doctors told me both my baby and I would be fine, but I had bled because I have been under too much stress. It wasn't hard to figure out what I had been stressed out over. I have been putting off telling Goku about this baby far too long, and because of my cowardice, I could have killed my baby. So Verde is driving me. I would have taken myself, but he had insisted I was in no condition to go through a stressful drive only to have to tell my soon-to-be ex-husband that I'm pregnant with his child. So he has been driving me since 4 this morning, in order to get me there before nightfall. We're close now, very close. Not that it has been a long ride for me, I slept during most of the trip since my visit to the doctor had gone into the night. I can even recognize the area. Amazing ho. After so many months this place still looks the same. It even smells the same, like nature. The mix of the grass, the trees, the flowers, and the animals were just irresistible. I really do miss living out here. Is that it? Verde asked, looking at a house, Goku's house. I nodded wordlessly and he pulled up. We both got out, and looked around. That's when I saw him. Goku was standing away from the house, near the woods. He was wearing his usual GI, no surprise there, but without his shirt. He was breathing heavily, and had obviously been training. Goku yelled, and swung his fist at a nearby tree. The tree didn't stand a chance. It shattered into dozens of pieces, and I could feel Verde's amazement. Are you sure you want to try to talk to this guy? Verde asked, looking at me. Don't worry Verde, he wouldn't hurt me. I sure hope not anyway. I'll be fine. But I'm sure you need to head home, the girls are waiting for you. Alright, but call or something later, let us know what happened with all of this. Alright. Verde was climbing back into the car, and I nodded. He smiled just a bit, then drove away. So that was it for Verde, probably the last time I'll ever see him. What are you doing here? I gasped and turned around to see Goku staring at me with a look on his face that I have never seen before. He looked scary. His eyes were bloodshot, and his face sunken in. What could he have been doing to look like this? I'm here to see you Goku. I was surprised at how small my voice seemed, but he seemed to hear me. Why? His voice was hollow, void of all emotion. Was he mad I had come here? Did he just want me to leave? I mean, it was obvious why I was here. Because Goku, I'm pregnant. Why would I care? He asked angrily. He was no longer emotionless. Now he was mad. Why the hell was he mad? I stepped back staring at him. Because you jerk, I thought you would want to know about your baby. His face changed once again. This time from anger to confusion. My baby. But I thought. This time, I felt my face grow angry. Of course your baby. What the hell Goku, whose did you think it was? Goku looked down, but I couldn't tell if he were ashamed, or just sad. Never mind Goku, I said as I sighed. Before we worry about anything else we need to talk about this baby. Alright, Goku answered. I felt as if I had just regained who I had once been. A confident warrior that could take charge, instead of being a sorry excuse for a person. The first thing I need to know Goku is if you are going to be involved in the raising of this child. Because if you aren't then I can just go because there wouldn't be any point in continuing this conversation. I want to know my own kid Chi-Chi. Goku answered, looking at me again. Okay then, I answered as I calmed down a bit. Then we need to talk about how we're going to handle things. Such as how we are going to split time with the baby. I propose having him with me for the duration of the week to handle his schooling. Goku said happily. Well, yeah, I have a feeling it's a boy. However, that is not what we need to focus on right now. First I want to work out how things are going to be handled. Alright Chi-Chi. What did you mean, have him during the duration of the week? I would have him 5 days of the week so he could be properly educated. Then you would have him during the weekend. Well, that doesn't seem fair. Goku said, frowning. I paused. I suppose you're right. We won't have to worry about that right away anyhow. He'll have to be old enough to at least hold up a book first. So until he is old enough to study, we can divide time equally. Though, he will need me when he is first born. I doubt you could handle an infant on your own anyway. Goku frowned. Well, how long will it be before he's born? A couple of months. What are you planning to do until then? I was surprised. I hadn't expected Goku to think of that. I'm not sure really. I was kinda hoping you would take me to my father's until the baby has been born. You could stay here, you know, Goku said. I could get you whatever you would need much faster than your father can. He is strong, but his speed is laughable. He can't fly either. You told me you would have to go to a hospital when it was time. How could you get there quickly with only your father around? I was once again surprised. I had actually wanted to stay here, but I had been sure that Goku wouldn't want me to be here. Of course, Goku said, if you don't want to have to deal with me, then I understand. I'll take you to stay with your dad if it's what you really want. No, that's alright. I would love to stay here, Goku. I missed this place. Goku's paw. I missed this place. Not I missed you. It was obvious she didn't really look forward to staying here, but it is more practical than going to be with her father. Then go ahead and go inside. I'll go catch dinner and be back later. Okay, Goku. I'll see you at dinner and we can finish talking about what we're going to do. Chi-Chi said as she turned around to go to the house. So I turned and went toward the nearest river to catch some fish. And could hear Chi-Chi's gasp as she walked inside. I knew she wouldn't like the mess inside. Nothing has been cleaned since Krillin left, which was quite a while ago. I can't believe I'm actually going to have a kid. I'm going to be a father. A weekend father. One that could be despised by my child because of Chi-Chi's obvious hate for me. Would she do that, influence our child to do that? She had come here to tell me of the child, but was it simply because she wanted to do her seemingly perfect plan again? Make me think I'm happy, then rip the happiness away. There's no way for me to know yet. Maybe I could change how she thinks about me. I know I won't be able to get her to love me, but if I could just get her to not hate me, then I might really get to know my kid. But how? How could I get her to stop hating me? I shook my head as I stripped down and jumped into a pond, one of my usual spots. If I could get here to change how she feels, then I just may have a reason to live after the defeat of Piccolo. Even if it won't be a life with the love of my life, then I might still get to be with my son. Goku's paw. After a couple of hours of fishing, I had enough for both Chi-Chi and myself. 5 big fish, really a successful fishing trip. But I hadn't managed to think of how I could get Chi-Chi to not hate me anymore. For now I guess I'll just have to try to be nice to her, hopefully that'll help. So, I started walking home, carrying the 5 huge fish all the way. As I walked I saw a lot of animals, as I always do, but it was weird, they were all looking at me funny. I don't get why. They've seen me with fish before. Some of them even seemed worried, and started biting my pants trying to take me somewhere. Then I smelled something familiar. It was smoke, and that meant fire. I looked toward the house, which wasn't too far away now, and there was smoke coming from the windows. I dropped the fish and ran to the house, immediately looking for the source of the fire. It wasn't in the living room, but I could smell it in the kitchen, so I ran in there, and saw that the stove, and the wall behind it on fire. I also saw Chi-Chi, asleep at the table. Cursing. I took off my shirt and started beating the fire with it. Luckily, the kind of cloth my GI is made of isn't easily flammable. It only took me a few minutes to get the fire off of the wall. And for the stove I managed to fill a big glass of water and put it out. I couldn't believe Chi-Chi had fallen asleep while she had apparently been cooking, and hadn't even woken up when the fire had started. The wall was definitely going to need some fixing, and we'd probably need some new cooking stuff. But it wasn't something that mattered now. Chi-Chi was still sleeping at the table. So I went over to her, and very carefully picked her up. She sighed as she put her head against my chest, and I started to go toward our room. I noticed what I had been too worried to notice earlier: the house was clean. Chi-Chi hadn't just picked up, but she had swept and mopped the floors, cleaned the windows, everything looked perfect. Maybe she had tired herself out. But Chi-Chi never got tired that easy, so what had happened? I wanted to ask her, but it seems more important. I went into our room, the room I hadn't gone into since the day she left. Even this room had been cleaned. I loved being able to hold her. But if she woke up in my arms, I doubt she would be very happy, so I had to set her down on the bed. But as I tried to pull my arm out from under her, she grabbed me. Now what was I going to do? If I forced myself out of her grip, then she would wake up. I didn't have much of a choice, so I stayed there, with Chi-Chi grabbing my arm. At least I had an excuse. If she got mad I could just tell her what happened. So until then, I would get to enjoy being with her sleeping figure. She was still beautiful, just as beautiful as I had remembered. She did look tired though, she light purple circles under her eyes. And her hair was a mess. She had her hair up too. Why was it up? She had always looked so beautiful with it down. My hand, my free hand, seemed to itch, wanting to take out the rubber band that kept her hair up. I couldn't help it. I let her hair go loose, helped it go around her angelic face. It's been too long since I've seen her sleep. I can remember doing this on a regular basis before she left. I loved to watch her sleep, especially after we had made love. Or I had thought we had made love. She had always looked so peaceful after sex, so content. There were times I would want to wake her up just to enjoy her again. I was getting uncomfortable standing there bent over with her on my arm, so I managed to lie beside her, still watching her. She seemed to smile in her sleep, which only got me to smile as well. I wanted her, here and now, but it was the last thing she would want, so I used what self-control I had to not wake her and start trying to love her. Not that she could actually stop me if I decided I didn't care if I raped her. She was strong, but I know I'm stronger. But I could never do a thing like that. It was wrong, and she would probably hate me for it afterward. However, I couldn't help myself as I leaned toward her, and lightly kissed her cheek. Chi-Chi's paw. When I had walked inside and saw the mess that had been my home, I knew I wouldn't have any peace until it was cleaned up. I could only wonder what Goku had been doing in this place to put it in this state. There was even a faint smell of champagne, the kind that I had with dinner occasionally. Before my pregnancy, I cleaned, and started cooking. Fish alone wouldn't be able to satisfy my Goku, so I searched the cabinets and used what I could find. There hadn't been much, but there was a bag of rice and some carrots and peas. I put it all together, and then put in some soy sauce, Goku's favorite. Or, one of his favorites anyway. Then I continued to clean, and once I was done, I sat at the dinner table, and lay my head down, wanting to rest my eyes. Cleaning had taken a lot out of me, especially scrubbing the floor. That was the last thing I could remember, and when I opened my eyes, I found I was no longer at the table, but in bed. Not only was I in bed, but Goku was with me. What had been going on? Goku seemed to be asleep, smiling as he was. I nearly chuckled, since he was probably dreaming about food. That's what he normally dreams about. He even mumbles in his sleep sometimes. It is because of this I know he's afraid of broccoli, and loves just about everything else. Why were we in bed together? His arm was even under me, and my hair was down around my face. Had we done something that I just don't remember? Of course not, I chastised myself. Goku didn't want me in the first place. Why would he want me when I was as big as a house? And if anything had happened, there was no way I would forget. I looked out the window, and saw that it was dark. How long had I slept? What the hell had happened to dinner? I got up carefully, so as not to awaken the sleeping man, and went to the kitchen. I almost fell over when I saw it. The wall was completely black, as well as the stove and pots. Had Goku blasted the thing or something? I'm really confused now, and I sat down in the chair I had apparently fallen asleep in. I was so confused I just didn't know what I should do. I know Goku wouldn't blow up food, it was too much of a waste. So, maybe it caught fire when I fell asleep. That must be it. I'm so stupid, the whole house could have burnt down. It's a good thing Goku got here before too much damage could be done. Yet, with the danger gone, why had he been with her, in bed? And why was her hair down? I distinctly remember having it up earlier to keep it out of my face while I worked. There was nothing I could do now, since it was night, and Goku was sleeping. There would be no way that I'll get any kind of answer until morning. But what do I do until then? I couldn't exactly go get back into bed with Goku. Or could I? He had been the one to put me in there, and lay down with me. So if I just got back in, then he would be none the wiser. But should I actually do it? I could just lay down on the couch. Then again, that wasn't a good idea for a pregnant woman. It could hurt my back or something. So, I guess I may as well go get in bed. Besides, it's an excuse to get close to Goku. Another opportunity like this may not arise for a long time, maybe ever. So I quietly went back to the room, where Goku now lay on his side. His back facing my side of the bed. I won't really have an excuse to cuddle, which is probably a good thing. It's one thing to be in the same bed as him, it's another to touch him while in the same bed. So I tiptoed to the bed, and got in slowly as to not move the bed around too much. The bed was definitely comfortable, and I could smell Goku from where I was on the bed. I had missed that smell, I thought, smiling. It was like food and sweat. It was him. I closed my eyes, but they opened wide in surprise when I felt a sudden warmth. Goku had moved right behind me, and put his arm around my waist. Goku's head was even next to mine, and I felt his warm breath coming down on the back of my neck. Now I was stuck, but I couldn't complain, I wanted this too badly. Just to be held by him makes me feel somewhat wanted again, and for a while, I let myself forget reality, and enjoy the feel of being close to him again. So, did y'all like it? I hope so, because I did work hard on this. Goku's paw. My eyes opened slowly, and when they did, I noticed something was different. Chi-Chi wasn't next to me anymore. Slowly, I sat up, feeling groggy, I rubbed my eyes, trying to wake myself. In a way, I didn't want to get up. Because Chi-Chi now knows we slept in the same bed, and there's no telling how mad she'll be. But then I smelled it, fish. Cooked fish. Yummy, delicious fish. It smelled wonderful. And I was so hungry. I couldn't help but follow my nose outside, where Chi-Chi was taking the fish I had caught yesterday away from a camp-style fire. So you're finally up, Chi-Chi said, turning toward me. She sat down on the ground, and to my surprise, started eating a fish, without having cut it or anything. Yeah, I could smell the fish cooking. You found them? Yes, Chi-Chi said after swallowing. I could smell them as I walked around. So I grabbed them, cooked them, and now, I'm eating them. Help yourself, you did catch them. You must be hungry since the food I made burned, and you left these. Help yourself, Goku, you must be hungry. So I did, I grabbed a fish, sat down, and started to eat. It was good, and when I finished my fish, I was surprised to see that Chi-Chi had already started on her second. Since when do you eat so much, Chi-Chi? This baby really is its father's child. I've been eating as much as you do for a few months. Chi-Chi hardly took any time out of eating as she answered. She seemed very hungry. You should have told me, I said after grabbing another fish, I would have gotten more. I don't think 5 fish will be enough for the 2 of us. If you had gotten more you would have taken longer, and who knows what may have happened. Chi-Chi said in a firm voice. Goku, I have a question to ask. I felt myself grow nervous, but did my best to hide my fear. Sure, ask away. Why were we both sleeping in our old bed? I'm sorry, Chi-Chi, but when I saw you sleeping on the table, I decided it wasn't a good idea, so I took you to bed, but when I out you down, my arm got trapped. If I had moved to get away, you would have woken up. You just seemed too tired, so I just laid down so you could keep sleeping. After I was done, I was sure to not look at her. I didn't want to see the anger on her face. Then I suppose I should thank you, Chi-Chi said kindly. But her voice was hollow, forced, her words had no meaning, they weren't what she wanted to say. Even I could see that. Not a problem, Chi-Chi, all I did was go to sleep. Though, that's not true. I think it was the first time I had ever lied to someone. I had kissed her last night. We continued to eat in silence. Chi-Chi ate 3 fish, and I ate 2. Surprisingly, it took some convincing to eat the last fish. She said I should have it, but I have learned to be stubborn since she left. Besides, those 2 fish were more than I had eaten at any one time in over a month. She had the fish, and sighed contentedly when he was done. Chi-Chi, I think we need to finish talking about what we're going to do once the baby is here. I said seriously. Chi-Chi nodded. Of course, I don't think it's fair for you to have him 5 days of the week, and me 2 days. I get that I won't get our kid to be very smart, but I can teach him things. I can teach him how to survive in the woods, how to fight. I tried to stay calm as I spoke. Chi-Chi however did not. That is something he is going to need in life, Goku. He needs a real education, not useless training. He is going to be a famous scholar, not a useless bum. Useless bum. The words echoed in my head. At first, it saddened me. Then it angered me. If it weren't for this, useless bum, then the Red Ribbon Army would still have control of everything, or Pilaf would have ruled the world, or King Piccolo, or even Piccolo Jr. If it weren't for my training, your father would have been burned alive in his castle. So how is it that I am useless, Chi-Chi? Please explain it to me. Because I don't see the reasoning behind it. You just don't understand. I was a fighter too, Goku, and when I went out into the real world I had nothing. No way to get a good job. I supported myself by cooking and cleaning for some guy and his kids. That isn't the kind of life I want for my child. Chi-Chi was practically yelling. Our child, I said sternly. And he doesn't have to get a job if he can live off the forest. Goku, I don't want him to be like that. He should be able to be a normal kid, go to school, and have friends. Look, I think we could live here for a few years, until the baby is old enough for school, then we'll go to the city. You won't have to come to the city, you can pick him up on Nimbus every weekend. Chi-Chi stood up, and crossed her arms, waiting for my comeback. I too stood. You know, maybe we should just wait and see what our kid will want. You can have him study, and I'll teach him about the woods and fighting, then he can choose. That's not fair, Chi-Chi said, no child would choose to study. He'll automatically choose you. Well then you think of a fair way to do this, Chi-Chi, because what you came up with earlier isn't going to work. I'm not going to be with my kid during 2 days of the week. I want to be with him, spend time with him. Chi-Chi's paw. I want to spend time with him. The words seemed to echo in my head. He wanted time with his son, more than just 2 days a week. When that was probably how much time we had normally spent together. Then you can have him during the summer and holidays during the 5 days of the week, and I'll have weekends. I suggested. Fine, I'll think about that. Let's just go inside. Goku turned and headed toward the house. I soon followed. It was a chilly day. Once we got inside, Goku looked at me. But this was different from the way he normally looks at me. I had seen this look before, the look he had had on his face when he had been about to face Piccolo at the tournament. Was that how Goku saw me? Like Piccolo. Like the enemy. Chi-Chi, I'm not going to let you do this, make me the father that never sees his child. Just because I'm not actually smart shouldn't mean I get less time with my son. Besides, if we live near each other, he could study at my house, but if he needs help with something I can't handle, he can go to you. I want equal time with my son, we can take turns every other day, or week, or something. But I won't just see him during the weekend. I felt like crying. Goku was being so adamant about wanting to be with his son, with our son. It's great, but why couldn't he feel that way about me? Why hadn't he wanted to spend time with me? Fine, Goku, I kept my voice even, now we only have one more thing we need to talk about. What's that? Goku said, seeming to relax. He no longer looked ready to go to battle, which was a relief. Only, I don't know if I'll be able to handle the look of glee that'll come onto his face when I bring up the last thing we need to straighten out. Our divorce. It's been too long to be an annulment, but the point is we haven't officially gotten separated. We have to get divorce papers, and then the government will see it and we will no longer be married. I couldn't do it, I couldn't look at him. Instead, I looked at the floor, or I would if my damn stomach weren't in the way. Oh, Goku said, then there was a long pause, and he seemed to clear his throat. We need those papers, do you have them? No, I don't. I said, my voice still low, I didn't have time to get them, I was too busy working. Taking care of 3 people and their home was a big, tiring job. Pretty sad, huh? A martial artist, daughter of the Ox King, got tired cleaning a house. So, when and where can we get those papers? In the city, any city. If you take me, I'll be able to get some real easy. Then all we have to do is sign them. I forced myself to look up, and saw Goku, turned away from me. Then I guess we should go. Goku said, and went for the door. Actually Goku, I couldn't handle this now, can we do it another time? I mean, I feel kinda tired, I didn't sleep well last night. A lie, she had slept better last ht than she had in the past several months. Would it be okay if I just took a quick nap? Sure, go ahead, Goku said. I'll go out and find something we can have for lunch. I'll be sure to get enough this time too. Thank you Goku, I'll just go lay down now. At that, she turned, and went back to their old room, lay down, and grabbed her soon-to-be ex-husband's pillow, and cried. Goku's paw. It was only a matter of time before she would bring that up, so why did it hurt so much? Not like I wasn't expecting it, so why? Then again, why am I asking myself a bunch of stupid questions? I know why it hurt, for crying out loud. At least I made some progress with her, at least concerning our son. I'll get to see him often, which is something. It just doesn't seem enough. I want more than my son, I want my wife. When she had brought up the divorce papers, it had taken me a minute to force myself to say anything, then I had to turn around, so she wouldn't see the look on my face. I was relieved when she said she wanted to wait, but it was only because she hadn't slept well. If I could just do something to get her to care about me again, to convince her to want to stay married to me. But how could I do that? If she hated me enough to do this to me in the first place, how can I get her to love me the way I love her? Maybe it is possible, and maybe I'm an alien. I could try to use the Dragon Balls. Wish for her to love me. But that would be wrong, it would be a forced love. I couldn't do that to her. It wouldn't be what I want anyway. I want her to love, just because. Like with me, it took a little while for it to happen, for me to love her. I remember when it happened, we had been sparring. We had been married for 3 days, and I knew I liked her. Then, she had suddenly manages to pin me to the ground, and because of the look of surprise that had been on my face, she began to laugh. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. That was when I knew. Who was I kidding? I don't stand a chance of getting her to care about me, and the sooner I accept that, the better off I'll be. Chi-Chi's paw. I sighed as I lay out on the couch, feeling overly exhausted once again. I'm becoming very tired of losing my energy so quickly. I'm just glad that I only have 1 more month of this left. I'm tired and I'm cranky and every little thing just bugs me. I'm just irritated with everything. Nothing works like it's supposed to. At least now Goku and I are getting along. I can't think of a time that we spent more time together. Despite the fact that I'm utterly miserable. I've never been happier. Wait, did that even make sense? Oh, no matter. All that matters is that things have been going well. We talk about what things will be like once we're parents. We have also seemed to forget all about that divorce. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, perhaps that we'll get to have another chance. Honestly, I don't feel like testing that I'll have enough energy to really think about it. Maybe if things keep going the way they are, we'll get to be happy together. If Goku wants to anyway. I smile as Goku walks into the house. He's SWET and filthy, and if I weren't in my present state, I would probably yell at him to go wash up. As for now, I was just glad he was back from his training. Hiya Chi-Chi, Goku said as he closed the door and smiled. Did you start making dinner yet? Typical. No Goku, I haven't. I'm too tired to get up, so you'll just to make your own dinner. Alright Chi-Chi, I'll go get it started. Oh no you don't. You need to wash up before you go in there and dirty up my perfectly clean kitchen. It was one thing to track some dirt into the house, it was quite another to smudge dirt all over the pots and pans. You should know better Goku. Okay Chi-Chi, I'll clean up. It'll just take me a while to get me bath ready. We didn't have a real tub, so when it came time for us to bath, we would use this old tin thing Goku found. It takes a while to get it ready since we have to heat the water ourselves by building a fire. How I long for a real bath. It was difficult to get in and out of that thing in my current condition. And there was no way that Goku was going to help me take a bath when we weren't really, technically together. Just hurry Goku, you should try to finish up before it gets dark out. He nodded and left, so he could find some firewood most likely. I sighed once again as I closed my eyes. Maybe a short nap could help to energize me. Goku's paw. I should have known I couldn't get away with not washing up. Oh well. A hot bath sounded really nice, it could help me to relax. I trained pretty intensely, it was satisfying, but it didn't mean I wasn't sore. Besides, it wasn't like I had a choice. So I went back outside, and grabbed some of the firewood I had cut up a few days ago, and put it under the bath. Now all I needed was soap. I was really dirty this time. When I walked back inside, I could hear Chi-Chi breathing evenly, and her eyes were closed. I guess she really was tired. I smiled to myself as I made my way to the bedroom, which is where Chi-Chi keeps the soap and shampoo. So I went to the cabinet to grab the soap, and took a minute to look around. I don't come in here often, this is where Chi-Chi sleeps. She can't just sleep on the couch every night or anything, so she gets the bed. The room was clean, of course. That was no surprise, Chi-Chi would never let the place get dirty. Everything was always in its place except for that piece of paper with her name on it. It looked like a letter. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I couldn't stand the curiosity. So, I picked up the letter, and started to read. Dear Chi-Chi, the girls were very excited about your last letter. They read it many times already and we've only had it for a few hours. Azul and Roja are both excited about the end of school, which is coming up shortly. As you have noticed, they decided to draw you a picture of all of us together again. They really do want you to visit, as I hope you will once you've had your child. There had been dozens of things the girls wanted me to tell you, though most of it consisted of senseless babbling. I doubt you feel the need to know how their friend's cousin's mother has a new boyfriend. So instead I will ensure you that both are happy and healthy, despite their missing you. They do have a new sitter, a nice little old lady who they do not like nearly as much as they did you. I don't like her as much either. In response to your last letter, I hope things will get better for you. I know that you're trying to do what's best for your child, and even if your husband isn't acting as he used to, you still want to make the effort to make it work. I just hope that if it doesn't work out, that you will come back to me. I miss you Chi-Chi, your laugh, and your beauty, and the touch of your lips against mine. I do love you, and I want you back. I can't help much feel that you may want me as well, and I sincerely hope you'll at least think about this. I know you have many doubts about that Goku fellow, and if you are unable to make things work, then I wish you would contact me. With eternal love, Verde. I slowly put the paper down. The man I had seen her kissing. That was the man she had worked for, that she had lived with all that time she was gone. How much had they done together while she had lived in his home? I didn't want to think about this now. She was here, and that was what mattered, right? She's here with me, not there with him, but then. Would she stay? We haven't really talked about that kind of thing. All we really know is that we were going to live together while the baby was still, well, a baby. We haven't gone much further than that in out planning. There's no telling if she really likes this guy, and if she likes him enough to go be with him. She had sure seemed to like him when I first saw them together. Would she leave so she could be with him? I really just don't know what to do. It isn't like I can just tell her not to. If she wants this Verde guy, then there's nothing I can do but let her. For now, I'll just have to hope that she won't go, and keep doing what I have been doing, and just go take my bath. Chi-Chi's paw. I whimpered as I moved around on the couch. I was having a stomach ache, a really bad one. This couldn't be good, not good at all. Goku. I got myself to start sitting up, just as Goku came in from the kitchen. It hurts so much. What hurts Chi-Chi? Goku asked, remaining calm as he came to me. My stomach, I think something is wrong. The baby, I knew I was near tears as I spoke, and at my words, Goku lost his calm exterior. What do I do? What do I do? Goku was now completely panicked, I could tell. One of us had to try to stay calm, and that obviously wouldn't be Goku. You need to fly me to the hospital, Goku. And you need to hurry. Before I knew it, I was in his arms. And then we were both in the sky. I knew that no matter how fast Goku was, it would still take a while to get to the hospital. Flying Nimbus. Yes, good thinking. That little yellow cloud was faster than Goku is, at least now, after Goku just spent hours training. We would get there much faster this way. Faster was good, very good. I was scared, really scared. What if I lost the baby like I almost had before? That just couldn't happen, not to my baby. Please hurry, Goku, I couldn't stand this, it hurt so much. I wasn't even done with my nap, I was still so tired. Goku's paw. Faster Nimbus. Chi-Chi fell asleep not too long ago. I don't know how considering how much pain she had been in, but maybe if she slept it won't hurt as much. I can tell that we're getting closer to the city. All I have to do is find the hospital so the doctors can help Chi-Chi. Hopefully none of the doctors will have any needles around. Goku's paw. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. Everything had happened so fast. I had gotten Chi-Chi to the hospital, but she still wouldn't wake up. The doctors had hooked her up to all the machines that were monitoring all kinds of things. Everyone was rushing around. I couldn't even get near her, there were so many doctors and nurses. Machines were beeping, and that didn't seem to be a good thing. The faster the machine beeped, the faster the doctors talked and did things. One nurse had stuck a needle in Chi-Chi's arm, she called it an IV. It was hooked up to a plastic bag with a clear fluid in it, and I didn't like it one bit. But the nurse kept insisting it would help Chi-Chi. Get a surgeon in here, we have to get the child out before it suffocates. Now that definitely didn't sound good. The worst part was the feeling of helplessness. Whenever I was in a fight, trying to save someone, I knew that what I was doing helped, I knew how to help people. But in this case, I had no idea. Chi-Chi was in trouble, and the baby too. How could I help if I didn't know what to do? That was when things really got serious. The machine monitoring Chi-Chi's heart was going flat, I was losing her. I couldn't lose her, I need her. And the baby needs her too. I had to do something. I made my way past the nurses, and the doctors, anyone who was in my way. There was one thing I could do, and I was ready and willing to do it for her. I took her hand in mine. And I started to glow, my energy surrounding me, and then Chi-Chi started to glow. My energy was going into her, hopefully it would be enough for her body to use to make everything okay again. The longer I held her hand, the more of my energy I gave her, and things were slowly going back to normal. But that wasn't enough, she had to be okay, so I would give her everything. Even if she'd end up mad at me. Even if she didn't ask me to. Even if it kills me, and even if she hates me I would save her. And with that, I concentrated hard and gave her everything I could. I felt dizzy. But I kept giving her everything I had, until I passed out. Blank. Chi-Chi's paw. The last thing I remembered was being in Goku's arms as he was rushing me to the hospital on Nimbus. I looked around and saw that he had in fact gotten me to the hospital. But what was going on? I wasn't in pain anymore, and crying. I could hear a baby crying. I looked around and saw that there was a baby in the room. I couldn't see very much of the baby, but I did see a monkey tail. My baby, it was my baby. It seems this little one is hungry, said a smiling nurse as she picked the babe up and brought it over to me. This little guy has quite the appetite. A boy. A little baby boy. I had been right. I smiled. He's okay, right? He's just fine, though many of us are baffled about his tail. The nurse said the last part hesitantly. I could tell that she didn't want me to go crazy over the fact that my baby had a tail. He got it from his father, I told her calmly as she put him in my arms. The nurse left after instructing me on how to feed my baby, and I cooed and fussed over him the entire time. But where was Goku? Chi-Chi's paw. I couldn't get enough of this baby. My baby, he was just perfect once he'd been fed and burped, he was a perfect angel. That I was surprised he was so hard to handle when he was hungry. He was definitely his father's son. She still hadn't seen Goku. And she'd been awake for more than an hour. Where was he? I could feel myself getting angry. He couldn't even be with me after I'd just had our son. The baby was asleep and my throat was so dry. So I found the call button, and waited for someone to come help me. It didn't take long, the nurse from earlier came in. She was a small round woman, but she seemed to have a smile on her face. You want me to put him down? The woman asked sweetly. Yes, please, I answered. She took him, and put him to bed. Could I have some ice chips? I asked. My throat was dry and my lips were cracked. Of course. I came ready. She gave me a glass of ice, and I'd never been so grateful for something too simple. Is there anything else you want? After swallowing some of the ice chips, I gave her a nod. You wouldn't happen to know where my husband is, would you? She seemed almost hesitant before answering. A tall young man with black hair, and an orange GI. That's him. Of course he was wearing his GI. It should make him stand out anyway, so he wouldn't be too hard for someone to find. The woman frowned. Is something wrong? I could see it already. Goku getting kicked out of the hospital for eating all the food in the cafeteria. Or maybe he'd tried to destroy all of the needles they had. When you got here, you were in critical condition, the doctors were losing you. Then your husband did something. The nurse seemed to have an odd, yet revered tone to her voice. What do you mean? She'd been in trouble during the birth. When your heart rate dropped, he pushed the doctors aside. And he started to glow, then he made you glow. It was the strangest thing anyone here had ever seen. The light faded from him, and he collapsed. Collapsed. Glowed. What did he do? Where is he? The nurse pulled back the curtain that had divided the room, and then I saw him. He was in the other bed, in a hospital gown, and he looked like he was asleep. He hasn't woken up since it happened. The nurse said sadly. Goku, what did you do to yourself? How could he do this? What had he done? I wanted to get up, to go to him, but I couldn't. I have an IV in my arm. And a catheter, and I felt so sore when I tried to move. The nurse seemed to notice my discomfort. The doctors had to give you a C-section, you'll be very sore for the next 3 to 5 days. I can remove the catheter in a few hours. But even then you'll need to try to stay in bed. Do you have anyone you'd like me to call? Maybe someone that could help you take care of your son, and go to the restroom. There was no way Dad was going to help me go to the bathroom. Besides, this room was so small, I doubt he could even fit in here. No, thank you. Would you like me to leave the curtain open? I gave her a nod. Please. She tried to smile, but it was so obviously fake, it didn't make me feel any better. I looked at Goku again. He just had to wake up. I need him to wake up. 2 days, and Goku hadn't changed at all. I still can't really move around, so I'm stuck with watching him from across the room. Why would he do something like he had? Maybe he thought it was the only way to save their son. Or he'd accidentally overdone it. I look down at my son, who returns my glance tiredly. He still doesn't have a name. I refuse to give him one before Goku wakes. Though, I can't say I don't have any ideas. Chi-Chi. I look at the doorway, only to see Verde, with an, it's a boy, balloon, and some flowers. I smile, it's good to see a friendly face. Come on in. He walks into the room, seeming more relaxed now. I suppose he thought I may not let him come in after everything that's happened. So that's him? Verde asked quietly as he looked at the bundle in my arms. I could help myself. I looked at him seriously and said, nope, this one belongs to the lady down the hall. That's for anyone who is a fan of Bill of Angles. Here's your sign puns. Stupid question, he asked as he smiled. Very stupid question, I answer. I smile though, I had missed Verde, and the girls. How are Azul and Roja? Exited. I told them before I left you'd had the baby, they want to see him. How did you find out anyway? I know I hadn't called him. Money does make the world go round. I bribed every head doctor of every maternity ward at every hospital in the area. Verde acted a little embarrassed. Please don't think I'm some kind of stalker. I know I had your address, but I couldn't for the life of me actually find your house. All that just to know when I'd had my baby. You know, my offer still stands, Chi-Chi. And so does my answer, Verde. I don't feel any differently since the first time I told you. He looked disappointed, but put a small smile on his face, and gave me a nod. Can I call you in a few days? Sorry, no phone. I still haven't convinced a phone company to set up a phone line way out in the mountains. I'm afraid you'll just have to keep sending me letters. All right then. Expect one soon then, because the girls have each decided to write you one. He held up his camera. Mind if I get a few pictures? Those two will maul me if I don't get any. Oh, I must look terrible, alright. I suppose. He got a few shots of her holding the baby, and a few close-ups of just him. So what's his name? He doesn't have one yet, but I'm sure he'll have one soon. Verde gave a nod. It was good seeing you again, Chi-Chi. I'll see you, hopefully sometime soon. And with that, he turned and left. I couldn't have been happier when he did. I needed to go to the bathroom. I carefully stood and laid Gohan down. He didn't even mind. He just made himself comfortable and started to fall asleep. I took advantage of this, and made my way to the bathroom. Goku's paw. The last thing I could remember was giving my energy to Chi-Chi, but when I opened my eyes slightly, the bright light in the room hurt like hell. I saw Chi-Chi, talking to the man she had kissed. The one that had offered to be with her. I closed my eyes, and I listened. How did you find out anyway? Money does make the world go round. I bribed every head doctor of every maternity ward at every hospital in the area. Verde acted a little embarrassed. Please don't think I'm some kind of stalker. I know I had your address, but I couldn't for the life of me actually find your house. You know, my offer still stands, Chi-Chi. And so does my answer, Verde. I don't feel any differently since the first time I told you. Can I call you in a few days? Sorry, no phone. I'm afraid you'll just have to keep sending me letters. All right then. Expect one soon then, because the girls have each decided to write you one. Mind if I get a few pictures? Those two will maul me if I don't get any. All right, I suppose. So what's his name? He doesn't have one yet, but I'm sure he'll have one soon. It was good seeing you again, Chi-Chi. I'll see you, hopefully sometime soon. Is she going to leave me? It certainly seemed that way. He'd made her an offer, and it looked like she was going to accept. I could hear Chi-Chi get up and leave. Wherever she has gone, she had closed a door. I sat up and went to stand. But something stopped me. That's when I saw the tube going up my hospital gown. It took everything in me not to yell for help, but I quickly got rid of the tube. Who had put that there? Then I saw the other thing that had kept me from making my escape. There was a needle in my arm. I quickly pulled it out, but I don't think I did it right, because when I did, more skin ripped and I started to bleed. I hate needles. I got up, and I saw him. I saw the baby with a monkey tail, sleeping contently. Hey little guy, I'll see you soon, I promise. Just, not right now. That was when I heard a flush. Chi-Chi must have been in the bathroom. I couldn't face her after what I'd heard, so I did the only thing I could think of. I flew out the window, and headed home. Chi-Chi's paw. I stepped out of the bathroom. And looked to see Goku, but her wasn't there. Has he woken up? Goku, where are you? I went over to the bed and looked around, and then I saw it, there was blood on his bedding. Try as I might, the hospital wouldn't let me leave. I was desperate to find Goku, to find out what had happened, but the hospital had actually drugged me to make sure I stayed put. Because of the complications that had occurred during delivery, I had to stay for at least 5 days total. During that time, I felt like ripping my hair out. There was no phone at my house. Goku certainly didn't have a cell phone. There was no way we could afford one of those things. I had no way to contact him, and during the rest of my stay at the hospital, Goku didn't come once to see either me or our son. Could something be wrong? Could Piccolo have been causing trouble? Could Piccolo have actually gotten strong enough to beat Goku? Not a day went by that I wasn't thinking these things. As much as I realized Goku wouldn't want to see me, he had never shown any indication of not wanting our son. Who, by the way, still needed a name. There was no way I was going to name my son without Goku. Not if I could find him. As soon as the hospital did let me out, I called my dad. He agreed to take care of the baby while I looked for Goku. It had taken some convincing. He didn't think I should, considering everything that had happened. But I felt fine. I had ever since waking up after Goku had somehow saved me. I promised I wouldn't look overnight, that I would go back to Dad's house if I couldn't find Goku. First stop would be my house. If I couldn't find Goku inside, I would look in the forest. And, if I had to, I would call the Kame house and ask Krillin to help me look for Goku. After all, Krillin could sense ki. I pulled up to the house in my dad's car. He'd let me borrow it. I went quickly into the house, and saw that it looked like Goku had been here. There were several dirty GI tops on the couch, dirty plates on the table. And some of those plates happened to have quite a bit of mold on them. Goku. I called his name, hoping he would come to me. I didn't want to see what else he had managed to do to the house while I had been gone, at least not yet. I wanted to talk to him before I became too angry. I heard someone coming from the hallway, and it was Goku. He didn't look bloodied up. Hungry or tired for that matter. So why in the seven hells had he just left both me and our child? He walked up to me, and gave me some papers. These are for you. He sat down after he spoke, and I looked at the papers. Goku had given me divorce papers. And he had already signed them. I see. You've certainly been busy these last few days. I figured I'd get it done while you were recovering. We didn't exactly have time before. Goku seemed completely fine. We had intended on getting the papers before, but because I was always so sick, I was never up to going, and I had needed his help, so he couldn't have gone alone. I, on the other hand, was on the verge of tears. You didn't come to see either of us. It's been days, Goku. I had to change the subject. I needed time to calm myself down enough not to cry. I know. I was busy. Too busy for your son. Now I was going from depressed to angry. No, just busy. It hasn't been that long, Kai, just a few days. No, Goku, not just a few days. The first 5 days of our son's life. Chi-Chi, just sign the papers, and get it over with. I calmed down. There was something I needed to know, and I wouldn't give him what he wanted until he gave me some answers. Goku, the nurse at the hospital told me you did something. Something along the lines of making me glow. Just what did you do? Goku smiled a little. It was just Someth. Kami taught me during the few years I spent training with him. You were really weak, so I gave you my energy. Gave a little too much, I guess, since it took me so long to wake up afterwards. But why, Goku? Why did you drain yourself so completely to save me? 'Cause you were in trouble. Goku said with his typical smile. Of course. Goku would have done that to save anyone, even some of his worst enemies. That's just the way Goku was. I understand, Goku. I tried to smile as I spoke, but I'm sure I did a terrible job of it. Well, I'm going to need a pen if I'm going to sign these papers. Oh, right. He got up and started searching, and I really mean searching. Under clothes, behind objects he'd left on the counter. I sighed. I should have realized he wouldn't remember where the pens were. He'd probably signed the papers the second the lawyers gave them to him, making the pens here useless to him because he had no need of them. I walked over to the table, where there was a cup full of pens, and sat down as I picked up one of the pens. I looked over the paper and saw I had to sign once, and initial once. The other blank line would be for the lawyer. I signed the papers quickly, and set the pen down. That was it. All that had to be done now was giving the lawyer the papers, and the divorce would be final. Goku took the papers and put them in a large envelope. I hope you'll be happy, Kai. I want you to be happy. Goku's entire demeanor seemed to change. He'd gone from neutral to depressed, which beyond strange. Goku may have been sad in his life, but I doubt he's ever been depressed. He was just too optimistic. Goku, I mean it, Kai. Even if it means being with that Verde guy, I want your happiness more than anything. Verde. Whoever said I'm going to be happy with Verde? How do you even know about Verde? Quote, I saw you kissing him a long time ago. I saw the letter he wrote you and I was awake when he showed up at the hospital. I know he asked you to be with him instead of me and that you agreed. He saw me kissing Verde. What are you talking about agreed? I told him no. Goku looked at me, seemingly surprised. You did. Of course I did. Goku, I was the nanny for Verde's kids. He liked me, sure. But I only wanted to be his friend. Really? Goku suddenly perked up. He had his old grin back. Really, Goku? Whatever made you think I would say yes? I dunno. Everything, I guess. You leaving. The kiss, the way you were talking to him at the hospital. I just didn't get it. Goku had perked up so much when I told him I wouldn't be going to be with Verde, but why would that excite him so much? Goku, do you love me? Could that be why what I told him made him so happy? Goku looked down toward the floor, swinging his foot slightly, and mumbled. He looked like a schoolboy that was about to be scolded by his teacher. I couldn't hear you, Goku. Do you love me? He looked up slightly, jut with his eyes, while the rest of his face continued to stare at the floor. I do. I smiled softly. It felt like the weight of the world had suddenly been lifted off my shoulders. I walked up to Goku, took the envelope containing the divorce papers. And do you still want this divorce? I never did, Kai. I was just doing it for you. I tore the envelope, along with the divorce papers it had contained, in half. To say that Goku was surprised would be an understatement. Kai, why did you? Because I don't want a divorce either, Goku. I never really did. So I hugged him, and kissed him, and he hugged and kissed me back with so much joy it were as if he would burst. I finally had my Goku back. The end. Thanks for watching.